I think we are.
I think we're live.
It says we're live.
It's working. Oh, nice.
Hey.
Score.
Yes, and we have AC.
We have AC, so this is good.
Oh my gosh.
Now, the only thing we were worried about is whether or not people can actually hear us with the fan. So
yes, and we can. And the only thing is on right now, so we'll wait till maybe we have 0-0, but maybe Brandon will come on at first of all.
Well, we don't actually know. It might be a little delayed, so you should still say hi to people, maybe.
Yes, hi people.
For at least afterwards.
I'm a blockhead.
What?
So, okay. We can still say hi to people.
Yeah, just be like, hey everyone, this is what we're doing.
Yes, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, take 2.
You can't
Everybody,
take
this is what we're doing.
live.
So we're doing a live stream from the shop. Update, Smokey Yunick. There's somebody I can't see that far. Hopefully you can.
That shop mom saying that she can in fact hear us.
Thank you,
so
shop mom. We were
good.
wondering if anybody could hear us, see us, or anything.
Yeah.
So, I guess it looks good. Let us know.
Yeah.
Up, down, left, or right.
Well, I think now it's good because in the background you can see the car is up in the air right now and the engine is down below.
So and while you're doing that.
So we spent this morning pulling out the stock engine, the Dodge 2.2, and we just made sure to obviously be really careful with everything because unlike a regular Dodge 2.2, Smokey's already had his hands in this. So he's got some special gauges and some things that are hooked up in there a specific way. We couldn't necessarily just like open up a repair manual and be able to see what was going on. So we took a lot of photos, we took our time, and I've got to say, pretty proud because we broke nothing. And
yes.
For those of you that work in rusty parts of the world, so I'm looking at you northerners, northeasterners, and also you ocean dwellers, or those of you who are like near the ocean or whatever. This car, as we mentioned a whole bunch, is from Daytona Beach, Florida, so it's really rusty, unfortunately. So, thank you so much, Corey. Hi, Corey. He's a regular. Sound and video are good, he said.
Awesome.
So, thank you so much. So we thought we were gonna have a lot of problems. I forgot my PB blaster, but we just had WD-40, and we had zero problems.
Not one broken bolt, not one strip bolt.
Mm-hmm.
Everything really. We had more issues, I guess, with the hose clamps and stuff, just getting them.
Yeah, some of the hose clamps were a
apart.
little seized. Yeah, and that upper radiator hose, I think I might have damaged it a little bit or like poked my little tool through it. I'm not sure.
But didn't hurt the radiator, didn't hurt any.
No,
any
nothing
parts.
else. No, but we'll see. We'll see. So we might have lost one hose thanks to yours truly, but hey, it probably needs to be replaced anyway, people. So
yes.
Here we have behind us. This is the Hot Vapor engine, and then the Dodge 2.2 is behind. So the Hot Vapor engine's kind of just like a core right now with like a few accessories. I mean, ignition accessories on it, water pump, obviously timing belt. But we're going to have to swap a lot of stuff over from the Dodge 2.2 to the Hot Vapor engine. We were going to like get so far as swapping things over and drop it in the car today, but Brandon is at home working on his solar panel project, so I'm going to help him wire that up, and Danny's going to be fixing a dryer.
A dryer.
So we've got like
yeah.
weekend projects as well. So I think like all of next week we'll be sort of swapping things over slowly, and then next Sunday, because I don't know about you, but I'm going to the Fredericksburg swap meet on Saturday.
Yep. Yes,
There's
yes.
parts there I want.
And
so
don't anybody y'all go get those.
don't anyone get the 7M block. Don't buy the 7M block. I'm buying the 7M block. You hear me? Wait, this is a live stream about the Smokey Yunick motor. Okay,
yes.
so
well, and an update.
So next Sunday, we're gonna be swapping it back in. So I don't know. We haven't picked a day yet, but sometime next week we'll be swapping things over. Maybe after work, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing.
So that's
now,
where we're at.
we pulled it out with the transmission.
Yep.
All in one unit. The way that it would have been put back in, and actually that wasn't that bad.
Oh God,
yeah.
I love a front-wheel drive car without a subframe like that. I mean, you can see like the tiny little subframe that it has. I'll point it out.
It's almost like a go-kart, so little parts.
Y'all, it's like, here's our lower control arms, and this tiny little subframe goes from here, which is practically a firewall. Like, it maybe only goes about 4 or 5 inches in front of the firewall, and like, I don't know, it's so tiny that, my favorite safety glasses that are too big for me. And so we were actually able to remove the front motor mount, just bring the car down on the ground, strap. We just have a tiny little like what size are those like square pieces of wood? What do you call those?
4x4s.
4x4s.
Yeah.
We had 2 little 4x4s. We strapped it down to our little cradle, our little cart, and really were able to tilt the engine like in the front. We removed the front motor mount. and just like tilted it around that subframe, and it was
just slightly moved over a little
extremely.
bit and then went right up.
It was-
and actually it seems more invasive, but it really isn't, because now I can also spend a little time in here and just kind of wipe everything down.
Clean
We're not
everything
gonna,
up,
We're
yeah.
not gonna paint anything in there, even though it looks a little bit, bad and dirty and stuff.
We'll OSPO it.
Yes, we'll clean
We'll OSPO it.
OSPO. It'd be a good time to OSPO the suspension.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah. We definitely have our work cut out for us in terms of like just a very light restoration underneath there,
We're
and then
very-
also it gives us a chance to sort of document the original engine, take more photos of it, and make sure that we straighten over. We've also found that there are some bushings. I don't know if anyone is familiar with these cars or the Dodge Omni or the Volkswagen Rabbit, but they have like, these little nylon shifter bushings. And it looked like Smokey had already tried to zip tie one of them.
One of
so.
them had, yes, it was popped, and then he put 2 zip ties on it to hold it on.
Yeah.
And, hey, whatever works, zip ties and duct tape.
Yeah.
That's why they call it the duct tape drive. So,
Yeah.
so it's really cool. The brakes are already done. That's what we did at first to get the car ready. And like I said, we drove it to the shop, we drove it back. It's been to New York. So it was awesome. Now we are going to do also a brand new fuel tank.
Oh yes.
Yes, we cleaned this one and the whole fuel system. That was on another one of our videos. Remember, we're blowing out all the fuel lines, and everything is good. But we're not going to take a chance with the hot vapor engine to run any of the old fuel system. So we have a brand new tank. Shop Mom found us the sending unit, brand new, and
lovely.
everything. So we're going to go ahead and do that and put a brand new tank in it. Just to make sense. But
Yep,
and
and
I
I
want to swap the transmission over
Yep.
to this engine. This engine already has everything on it that came on the engine when we got it from Tony, which was from the Smokey Yunick family. So it's exactly the way it came. It's now back. All we've done to the engine is, if you watch some of the other streams, we
put a new timing belt on it.
New timing belt.
We verified cam timing. Janie pulled the camshaft out and just lubricated it. Put some
We use a Cleveite, just a bearing guard on the lifters.
just like assembly loop.
Yeah, the assembly loop. And
Perfect.
we pretty much didn't paint anything because, that was the discussion before. I could have touched up the paint. Smokey used a lot of silver paint. Silver paint is really, really good for transferring heat. So he used a lot of it. So I wanted to just touch up some of the parts. And then I got a lot of comments saying, don't, historic value, whatever. And it would look prettier, maybe a little silver. But right now it's just clean. It's just the way that we got it from, it was in Daytona Beach, Florida for a long time, and for a little time in Tennessee, and then here.
So one thing too is that we have currently, there is a flex plate, as you saw on the back of this motor, because Danny was just like running it on the stand, and it's on a stand, but then there's a run stand. It's like on 2 stands. He wanted to preserve Smokey's original stand, so it's.
I made a stand for Smokey's stand.
He made a stand for
that the engine's on the stand.
That's yeah. So it's true, people. We got a true enthusiast here. So so we are gonna swap. We are gonna swap over the clutch. We're assuming that the clutch is gonna be fine, but we haven't separated engine and transmission yet. Right now, we're just sort of like basking in the glory that is the engine pull.
Yes,
And,
it was like. We didn't lose any fingers. We didn't lose any parts.
But we did see some parts we're gonna have to order.
We made a little list of some things, and if the clutch needs to be replaced, we will do a clutch. We're not opposed to doing a clutch, but in driving it to the shop and back and on the trailer, we drove it on the street to the shop, but it did go on the trailer to go to New York and back. There's no issues with the clutch at all. It was, when I got the car, the clutch was stuck. It was just stuck from sitting for a long time.
Oh yeah.
It just, so we got that broken loose, and there isn't any issues. So the plan is we're going to remove the clutch, pressure plate, everything, and just put it on this motor.
Just swap it all over.
If it's
take
bad,
our time with it,
we'll put a new clutch in it, most definitely. But
and put our eyes on everything, because at this point, the last thing we want is to put the motor in the car and think,
and
oh
have
my
a
gosh, I
coolant
wish,
leak or have a clutch leak
I wish we had done X, Y, Z. Now, looking at them, like, I've got a couple concerns, obviously, about, did that plate actually break off in shipping? Or did it break off when he was pulling it out?
And we may pull, because it was broken, so that's going to be in some upcoming videos.
Stay tuned. We filmed a lot.
Yes,
We've been moving forward a lot on this build. So.
And we're talking about, this is all fab, real nice. Well, it didn't have this end of the carburetor. Smokey used this 4-barrel air cleaner, but he had to make this 2-barrel carburetor like a 4-barrel.
Yeah.
So he actually had put a piece on it. We never got the piece. It was broken off. It's welding two dissimilar metals. The master of welding dissimilar metals.
I made a mistake.
It worked. So sometimes you don't know, you can't do. You do something and it worked.
Yeah.
It actually worked.
Sometimes you're only limited by your own thought process.
And we're talking about a different project, but that's why, we joke and you got to have a sense of humor, and we have a sense of humor, so we know that we can joke that no one's getting the feelings hurt here. So,
no. We
have
love making fun of ourselves,
yes.
and it's it's important because yes, we're working on something historic. We put out videos. We sort of I don't know. A lot of people have this illusion that we're masters of everything, but no, don't forget, people. We are still in training. So we are still happy to be learning things all the time, and we also make a lot of mistakes, but that's fine.
And if anybody has any questions
mistakes.
on the Smokey engine or something you see on it, something you want us to talk about it, the stand is awesome. It rolls anywhere. We could roll it all around. Once it gets in the car, then you really want to have a chance to look at it. We've done a lot of filming on it, but this is the time. If anybody has any questions on any side, we can easily roll it around. If not, then we'll just just give you the update.
Yeah, this is just a quick one because I'm gonna get back to helping Brandon with the solar panels, which I'm really excited about. But a few things of what you guys can expect coming from us, in terms of updates, how we got to this point. We are going to be, or Danny's making a video of the things that we've done up until this point. So we'll show the timing belt stuff. He's gonna go really in depth on the carburetor as well, and we got the engine here on the maiden voyage of my crappy trailer. So I just did a little filming on that, obviously. We're very excited about crappy trailer. And then also I'm making a video on the repair that we did to the carburetor. So we'll catch you guys up on all the little details.
And now we have to find a name for the trailer because the trailer, this was his maiden voyage, his maiden first use is awesome.
Yep.
The suspension is really cool. It was easy to load, easy to unload, but it pulls perfect. It just pulls right behind Toyota. It even better than pulling perfect, because a lot of trailers will pull perfect. Try backing one up. You go left and you go right and you go all over the place. I backed it up all the way down the driveway. So
yeah, and I backed it into the shop, and I'm no perfect trailer driver.
It's a killer trailer. So
it's a great trailer.
It has once again, we like to joke, the crappy trailer, but it's really a
It's not crappy anymore. Yeah.
No.
We have a question. Is there a video on the physical functionality and the theory behind it?
There is a lot of videos. You need to go back and watch some. I actually have a video years ago when we ran the engine. So that was 10 years ago or so, I think a little longer than that. And we ran the motor. In a couple of the videos that I have on my YouTube channel, I discuss about it and how it works. Anytime that we turn on the video, we pretty much always talk about it.
That's true.
The video that's going to be coming up maybe Friday, if I do some editing, is a lot of people have questions on the carburetor. Carburetor. In a lot of my earlier videos, you might even see I throw a rag on top of the carburetor just because it's just a regular carburetor. But there is some differences in the carb, which we found.
Yeah.
And we're going to share them.
We took it apart in order to repair it. So there's going to be a little bit of, there's going to be some gems of the internals of the carburetor in both of our videos.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of the mystery is in how hot the engine gets. Does it function? Does it blow up? Does it blow a head gasket?
Yes.
I think we might answer a lot of those questions when we actually do run the thing.
Yeah, and it's really cool. It really runs. So essentially, I tell everybody what Smokey would always say. He kind of got a little tired on repeating himself over and over and over again, and people want to know, but they don't want to take the time to go read anything. I want somebody just to hold my hand and tell me once again. So Smokey really appreciated that. If you when I talked to him, it was like, I wasn't asking him the stupid little questions that everybody and their mother has already asked. So when you asked a question that it was like, wow, you must have really thought about something.
Yeah,
that's a good question. He had no problem talking, but he just had problem repeating. So the same thing. A lot of videos already. We already talked a lot about it. Real simply. If you could attach an oxygen molecule to every hydrocarbon, I use words like Smokey Yunick would use of hydrocarbons, gasoline. If we could attach oxygen, a molecule of oxygen to every hydrocarbon, to every piece of molecule of gasoline with oxygen, we could get complete, burn. And this isn't 100% an adiabatic engine. It was just phase one. So this is only a phase one of, he was going to do 4 stages. And basically what it's doing, you're using up energy to push the piston down 30% of that energy, and I'm being real positive, sometimes it's not even that much. Newer cars now do better. That energy that you bought that gas to burn, to fire, to make compression, push the piston down, 70% of that energy went out the exhaust pipe. Not
went
used.
out for heat. Yep.
So
yep.
in phase one, what he's doing, he's taking that exhaust energy that now pushed the piston down and went out, and he's bringing it back in. He's recycling it. He's bringing it back in. Now it's going to do work for us. So it's doing work for us that before it didn't do any more work. It did the work when it pushed the piston down.
Right.
So it's doing work for us now. It's going in what's turning what looks like a turbocharger here, and it looks a lot like a turbocharger. Go read his patents, and that is clearly there. It's now a homogenizer, and all it's doing,
Right.
it's blending the fuel better.
Right. And what's sort of like missing between that description, I think, is the vaporizer right on top, or I'm sorry, right underneath the carburetor. So it goes carburetor, vaporizer, and then the turbocharger looking situation. The vaporizer has a bunch of tiny little, like it looks like someone took a metal bristle brush and put it in there. Like all these little tiny little fingers, like which superheat and the fuel sort of gets on them.
What I like to tell exactly, that's a good. That's
There we go.
one.
The vaporizer is in here. So carburetor, vaporizer, and then the homogenizer is there.
So we have 3 stages of heating: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 of heating, and every stage got it hotter. The easiest way that people go, I understand, why couldn't you know, because Smokey a lot of times would use the actual words of things, not the words that we use. But the way that I say it, okay, if you notice down here, this hose looks like a radiator hose. You have to really go and read his books. He gives a lot of stuff in his 3 books. So a lot of stuff is he actually put in the books. We're going to get to book 3, which is inventions. But if you go in his books and just read what he says himself, is that he had to cut the radiator in half. So in the car right now, it's a little bitty radiator.
It's really cool.
It's not the full-size radiator. And why didn't it need the full-size radiator? Because automotive engineers take heat away from the engine as far as they can, as fast as they can, because heat is bad.
Oh yeah, coolers all over the place.
Yeah.
Oil cooler, transmission cooler,
And
power steering cooler.
And as
Everything
Smokey was
is
saying, that's
cool.
energy that we've already used.
Intercooler.
So what did Smokey do? He took that coolant temperature, and instead of taking it to the radiator and releasing it to atmosphere, I like to tell everybody the easiest thing to think about right here, think of a mini radiator in here. Okay, think of a mini radiator in here.
It kind of is.
So isn't fuel one of the best, densest, coolest things? What does heat do? Heat jumps from
Expands.
hot to cold.
Oh, right.
Right.
Yeah, I remember learning that in school. It's like you don't just heat something or cool
Yeah,
something. It's like it's the lack of.
Yes.
So the lack of heat or vice versa.
Smokey didn't put heat shields. He put the devices to attract heat. So you're not really just putting a heat shield to heat not to get over here. You put a heat sink. So a heat sink is the colder piece of metal. So if I want Faye to be cooler, I'm going to put something here that's cooler than Faye. And then as the heat goes that way, it's going to jump over to the coolest thing. It's chemistry, it's math, it's neat, it's exciting.
I'm taking lessons from my 7M so it doesn't blow a head gasket.
Yeah.
All of my 7Ms, I'm taking lessons.
So instead of blowing a lot of cold air at something to cool it, the same way that a house AC does. Everybody thinks that a house AC blows cold air in. No, there's a coil, and all it does, it extracts the heat from the coil. So when you feel the air blowing in your house AC, it feels cold. It's the lack of heat.
It feels, I got the AC right here.
So,
it's on my leg.
So it cools by removing the heat. It doesn't cool by cooling the air.
Right.
It cools by extracting the heat from the air. So what does this do? Since fuel is so cold, when you spill gasoline on you, it's real cold. So if we run air-fuel mixture through a radiator, well, all the heat's going to jump over to the fuel, right? So now we've heated the fuel.
Yeah, and that's gonna first of all expand it, break all the particles.
It's gonna heat it, which really is gonna heat it. It's gonna expand it, but it's gonna come in here and get stage 1 of heating. So what it did, it removed the heat from the cooling system. Okay, the heat of the cooling system that normally went to the radiator, we took a lot of that heat out now and put it where? We put it right back into the engine. We had that heat do work for us. What work is it doing for us? It's heating our fuel. If we could vaporize our fuel, if we could get the fuel closer to the temperature of ignition, it would be more wanting to ignite.
And then think about that. Using the engine's own energy, like, is there anything more like efficient than that? And I think that's why he says that this. I mean, there's no catalytic converters on this thing at all. And it, yeah. So it passes full emissions at that time. I mean,
It ain't gonna pass California emissions now, but at the time.
I don't know, but yeah, because fuel has changed as well, so we don't know. But but the missions at the time it passed with flying colors with 0 catalytic converters on it. So not only was this incredibly fuel efficient, but it was incredibly clean burning.
A lot of people don't know that the last DeLorean, just about when all that ended, they had just struck a deal, Smokey Yunick and John DeLorean, and they started a new company, and what they were going to do is build these engines. There's one DeLorean with a hot vapor engine in it. That DeLorean passed full emissions at Southwest Research in San Antonio with no catalytic converter.
Where is it?
Where is it? It's actually in a museum, and it has there's a contract or legal paper that no one can ever touch the engine. The engine can never be looked at inside, which is good for us. But is something. There's also was a Buick, a 3-cylinder Buick, and we have a 3-cylinder Buick at the shop that passed full emissions at Southwest Research. Not only that, it went to Detroit. GM had to borrow that when Smokey had to save their butt when they were trying to take a car over to the Detroit Auto Show, and it was a diesel.
That's right.
And then the diesel didn't work. So they wanted Smokey to fix the diesel motor. He said, the best I can do for you is I could loan you the 3-cylinder Buick that I've already built. So that went in their car. There's a bunch of articles. If you type in hot vapor, you'll see these are in black and white. Car and Driver, Popular Mechanics. There's a lot of these. But you'll see the 3-cylinder Buick. And the same thing, passed full emissions. Now what we're going to do, this one here, we're doing our part in restoring or putting it back to the way it needs to be.
Yeah, it's not like your typical restoration.
Yes. So the next we have I don't say plenty, but we have other hot vapor engines. We'll dissect into them and blow them up or whatever. We'll actually start pulling those apart.
And run them on the dyno.
Yes. Oh yeah, and extract data.
Yeah.
We didn't want to do this one. I've already fixed years ago when I ran this one. It had a bunch of corroded parts from being in Daytona Beach, Florida. So I fixed them. I lubricated parts. I checked, I ran a scope in the cylinders, everything was beautiful and it ran fine. So we're actually going to put this back in the car and drive it and probably do some miles testing. Maybe we'll do a quarter-mile run, 0 to 60 run.
You're missing a question, is fuel vapor lock a problem?
No, fuel vapor lock is a great question. Shop Mom just brought a question that we didn't see.
The heat for that.
Yes. So
dedication to the cause.
Yes. So fuel vapor lock is not a problem because we're actually causing the vapor. So that's why.
Right, because that happens from it like sort of expanding in the system. Like it's supposed to expand here.
That's a good key in that part. What you're saying about expansion, and this is no longer a turbocharger. It's a homogenizer. Think of it as a blender. So if you have a bowl of egg whites and you put a blender to it, which a blender just has a big blade, and you in injecting a lot of oxygen, you get a bunch of egg whites, right?
Yeah. It's
That's
like
what
foam in a
this is.
latte.
The turbocharger, which is no longer a turbocharger, it's a patented homogenizer. It's a big blender. It's a big blender. So the air and the fuel are coming in. The front blade is an 80,000 RPM blender, and it does exactly what everybody's saying. It expands, right? Well, what happened if this is a blender and it's a one-way check valve?
Yep.
If we didn't have this blending and being a one-way check valve, it would expand out of the carburetor. It would go backwards.
So it's still forced induction, even though it's not a turbocharger.
It's only doing about 2 pounds of boost.
That's great.
Yeah, just enough to keep a little pressure and not letting it go back out that way. Now, once it gets into its sweet spot back here, it's no longer 2 pounds of boost. That's a little bit of magic is happening over here, but it's not getting the boost pressure from the turbocharger / homogenizer. Any more good questions that were?
Nothing has come up. I don't know that my iPad is actually reading it. Oh, it's inside in the air conditioning.
Okay.
And look at your.
That's good. I mean, that can be.
I saw that.
Oh, we're about it. It's perfect.
That was my idea.
The shop.
Again, I have the great ideas.
we have a little portable AC unit
We're
down
loving
at our. So actually, for being in Texas, this is actually
It's
quite
actually
nice.
quite nice.
Danny Lister says it's 102 in Tulsa, and we're at 90 right now. So
Oh,
down at
Oh,
Denver-
we're
Well, then
yeah,
it's- so we're-
yeah. I mean, I don't know if our heat wave is over just yet, but like we were in the 107s for a
Yeah.
while there, and
Yeah.
it was.
This
it
is
was,
a blessing. This is really, it's overcast a little bit.
Yeah.
AC feels good.
It feels really good.
Well,
But sweet. I mean, if there's no more questions,
Yeah,
then
we-
we'll
we-
just say like, hey, stay tuned. We've got a lot of videos coming up on this. So if you have any more
Mother has
questions,
one question.
Oh,
30
sure.
to 1 fuel ratio, air to fuel ratio, or something.
30 to 1.
30 to 1. Real
I
lean,
don't know.
it's really weird because we will get data from
Yeah,
from
that's
the.
longer. Wrap it up.
Okay, we will get data from the air fuel ratio, and there's a lot of Smokey had a lot of stuff that just isn't written.
People assume that these things run really lean.
Yes, and it's a lean burn.
Yes.
But Ralph Johnson, see, you gotta go
I don't-
read
I
this
don't know
stuff.
this.
You gotta go read. There's a hot rod article with Tony Allard, our buddy Tony, and Ralph Johnson. Ralph Johnson was the fuel guru. So you really gotta, like I said, if you're really interested, there's a lot out there. You gotta just go read this. But go read the last hot rod. Type in Hot Rod Magazine, Hot Vapor. You'll see the original article with Smokey Yunick standing in front of the car, and that's a Fiero. And then you'll have the updated one that was done several years back on the Fiero that Tony restored, and he got another car because GM crushed that car, but he got one just like it and
Yep.
restored it, but put the factory engine back in it. Well, if you go read some of the stuff that Ralph Johnson says, and Ralph Johnson was the fuel guru, it doesn't really, it says it's really more, there's kind of misconceptions of a lean burn or a lot of fuel. What did we see on the inside of the carburetor, which you'll, I guess, have to watch?
Oh yeah.
It sure
You
doesn't
have to
lean
watch-
like
It doesn't.
It doesn't look like it's lean to me.
Yeah. Well, you'll just have to stay
Stay tuned.
tuned and watch Danny's video on the carburetor taking apart, I suppose. But-
Yes, and when we get the one on the dyno, we most definitely are going to
Oh, I
have.
want to figure it out. I
Yeah,
wanna
we're
know.
going to put. We may even put an O2 sensor on here. Anything that we can't manipulate or we're going to ruin something, but we may throw an O2 sensor in here
Yeah,
and
stick your
add
IBAN on that. We
and
got-
add a little. I have a nice digital O2 sensor that I run on the run stand or the dyno that we can
Okay.
actually put it inside of the car. The car still has the gauges in the car.
Yep.
Still working. When I drove home, I ended it watching it. So we have the boost vacuum gauge in it, and the oil pressure gauge, and the water temperature on an
And it all
aluminum
works?
panel, and it all works.
Oh,
and he
killer.
left it in the car. So
That's a blessing. I can't believe we found that. It
yes.
was like, well, I mean, we.
all
they-
that stuff was going to be ripped out of the car.
Yeah.
Because this was going to be somebody's. A guy bought it off of eBay.
Oh yeah, we told that story in the
Yeah,
last video.
so it
So
was gonna
watch
be-
it on the last. Do we have to run a special oil?
Yes, Smokey Yunick, and I have it saved. It's really, really funny because what does that say on it? And
Smokey's oil. Oh my God. It's got the original.
so I have the original filter and original oil that was in the engine. Actually had it analyzed years ago. One of the things that made this
You had it analyzed?
yes, I had
So
it
it's
analyzed.
clearly synthetic.
Oh yes, and it had a little silicone content, was a little on the high side. So I was wondering about the piston, but I probed the inside. Everything looked really good. So we don't know what besides just that. I'm gonna have it analyzed again.
Okay.
We're gonna have it analyzed again. So
Shoot,
Well-
that's like the only reason I wish I still worked at the engine lab, so I could get it analyzed
well, we have
for us.
we're blessing
We'll
it,
do it.
and not only we, but everybody has. Lake Speed Jr. now has a company that just does oil analyzation.
Oh,
He's the
okay.
oil
Well, we'll do that
lubricant
then.
specialist of the world, as I call it. So one of the things back then, why didn't this work? Oil was $98 a quart back then for synthetic. Okay, now fast forward to today. So it must run synthetic oil, and it did back then. And Smokey, the reason I got into synthetic was because Smokey said we got to have synthetic.
I came out here for one more question.
This is the last question.
Shop Mom has one more question.
And we're wrapping it up.
Does that engine have EGR introduced before the homogenizer?
This engine
That's
does.
a good
That's
question.
what I thought. That's why I got out here.
So, this one, since you asked, we will tell. One of the other engines that I have at the shop most definitely does. And there's a few of other engines. I have some that are complete, some that are in different stages, and you can see where he was. One of them most definitely does. There's some. This particular one does not. So the answer to that question is really plain simple. There's no EGR
On this
at
one,
all.
but he was thinking of introducing
Well,
it.
he did, and he also, if you look at some of the other ones, he did one for the Smithsonian Institute. It's covered in EGR valves. How are you going to control the temperature? He's using exhaust heat. So if you notice this pipe right here goes up from the exhaust manifold. So there's exhaust pipes everywhere, and he's using exhaust heat to heat different stages. Well, they're all controlled by the size of the orifice, the size of the tube. On some of his other engines, I see on some of them, he using an EGR valve to control the temperature in a certain area. Because an EGR valve is made to open and close an exhaust port.
Right.
So he's using it, it's not necessarily an EGR, but he's using an EGR valve, but he's using it to, when I need to heat up the manifold a little more, open it. When it gets too hot, close it. So he got a little more refined as opposed to just putting a size tube and having that work for all the, so there's a lot, so whoever that
Good
was, who was that?
question.
That was Paul Thomas.
Well, Paul Thomas, you know a little bit more
Good
about
question,
EGR,
Paul.
and
Yeah.
you also know, most people don't know that EGR
Didn't think to ask
and
that.
heat coming into the intake manifold actually cools the cylinder. You think, how is putting hot gas into it's a whole other realm. So he's thinking the way that you should be thinking, or that not most people think. When I had my first Buick V6 in 1981, we took the EGR valve off.
Oh yeah.
Wow, get it burnt number 6 piston.
Yeah. There's and there's an EGR cooler delete for the 7M as well. That sits right on the back, which I.
So you got to
took off,
retune
but-
if you're gonna be
Yeah.
doing that.
Yep.
Great question.
Yep.
Is that
Yep.
is-
That was a good question. Okay, now you guys can wrap it up because I think somebody has a husband waiting at home.
Someone does.
Yes,
All right.
and I have a wife waiting there,
And someone has a dryer that needs fixing.
and I got to fix the dryer. So we're gonna
Yeah,
go
we got
mentality.
weekend projects to do, y'all. We got a
Yep.
dryer to fix. We got solar panels to wire.
Can I give some love?
And,
Can I give some love?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, there was a remark earlier that said it should say gas vapor forever.
We're gonna.
We gotta reach out to
and if
Freiberger.
nothing else, then it may need to just be a hot vapor
We
engine.
gotta reach out to
Uh,
Freiberger to make our own special edition.
But this is a way that we can keep gasoline going. Hydrocarbons aren't necessarily bad. We just have to be like Smokey way back in the 80s. Use all the energy that hydrocarbons make. Don't release it because it's clean emissions. I mean, I could put my hand on the exhaust and not even burn my hand. It was warm. Why was it just warm and not hot? Because he's taking the heat and energy and reusing it.
Using it.
So we need
Whoa.
to rethink how to use hydrocarbons, and this is really gasoline forever. We could keep it going a lot longer. Smokey was on the right track. He didn't like diesel, by the way. So
Ralph Cooley says y'all are great. You guys rock and are great together in the shop. But I want people to know it's sometimes hard to put up with the two of them. They're great
Yep.
people.
Ah!
Yep.
The effervescence never stops.
On
Yes.
that note,
yes, we're gonna end it, and I think we've had good. Maybe you'll see
Thank
it
you
live
so
in a week.
much.
We'll
Peace
come
and
back on.
assembly grease.
Peace
Peace
and
and
assembly
assembly
grease.
grease.
Thanks for being here. Bye.